It's raining cats and dogs, and they'll all enter in loving homes. Up next on Carpe Diem. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Collin Delade. Each year, 3.2 million animals from shelters are successfully adopted. But what steps were taken beforehand to get each of those animals successfully adopted? To answer that question, we are joined by Grant Director Mark Westenhiser from 11th Hour Rescue and Volunteer Coordinator Jennifer McMillan from the Montclair Animal Shelter to talk about everything involving animal adoption. Thank you for joining me today, Mark and Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, Jennifer, 3.2 million animals successfully adopted. What does that mean to you?
It just, when I saw that number, it's amazing to think about that. It's a huge number. At our shelter, we're a smaller municipal shelter. I think we have about 350 animals adopted each year successfully. So to think about how you get up to 3.2 million, was that the number you said?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people working together, a lot of organizations across the country working together to place all these animals successfully in homes.
Yeah, it's truly amazing. Mark, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I have two thoughts on that. First, again, it gives you an idea of how many people really are out there working to eliminate such an enormous number. And then the other thing is what size of the problem is.
Yeah.
If it's 3.2 million adoptions, what are the ones that are not being adopted, and what do those numbers look like?
Yeah. So what does a successful adoption, though, mean to you, Mark?
For us, it's forever. When we set up meet and greets with our adopters, our potential adopters, we go through a series of questions and questionnaires to make sure that we're kind of matching the dog with the person. And we find that once that happens and the people from the family are there, we get a better feel for that when they go out the door, that this might actually be something for forever. And that's really what a perfect adoption is for us.
Yeah. Jennifer, what does perfect adoption mean to you?
You know, it's very similar to what Mark is saying. The piece that's important, I think, is the education piece and really gauging people's expectations and managing their expectations. So people will come in with their kids and, oh, I want to adopt a puppy, or this is the dog I had growing up, I want this dog, or I really want a kitten. And it's really up to us to screen them and make sure that their expectations are reasonable. Like, you know, kittens are only this small for this long, and even older cats need attention, and so you can't just park them, and, things like managing expectations around medical expenses. What are you going to do if this happens? Have you got that kind of in your budget, or, just on your mind, in your plan, that you're going to have to be able to cover those kinds of things. So
and certainly you don't want to match a Jack Russell Terrier with a 75-year-old couple. It's usually not going to work. It's usually not a good fit. Or someone that doesn't have a fenced-in yard. I mean, there are a lot of different things that we look at when we try to make sure that we have, we say the perfect fit. It's just it's that we're looking for long-term, and we're looking for permanence, real.
Yeah, I see. You mentioned, Mark, earlier how that 3.2 million, you think of it as there's so many other dogs not getting adopted. Mm-hmm. What happens to those dogs that either don't make a successful adoption or don't even get the chance to get to that stage of getting to your shelters?
That's the sad story, and I think that's why most of us get in this, is to prevent this part of it. And 11th Hour is its whole philosophy is to get that dog before it gets, unfortunately, euthanized. We have there's a lot of shelters out there that simply don't have the money or the funding or really the facilities to keep a lot of these dogs. So a lot of them end up in an unfortunate situation where they may only be able to be kept for a couple of days. And in these cases, these animals are put to death. Now, there are also a lot of animals out there on the periphery that don't even get to this point. And in these cases, you know, you see them on the sides of the roads, you see them in places where you just don't want to see them. I mean, it's just a very unfortunate problem in this country, and actually it's the problem throughout the world, really.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, what's your thoughts on that?
So, you know, the questions of what happens when an animal doesn't get adopted. I mean, the good thing about our shelter at the Montclair Animal Shelter is we don't have to kill for space. The Montclair Animal Shelter is a municipal shelter. We're responsible for the Township of Montclair, so that's stray animals and owner surrenders for Montclair. And we have a tremendously successful volunteer foster base. So if we have an animal come in that needs work, that has maybe a dog that needs has some behavioral issues and needs to be placed, or just some time to shake out, we have that available to us, and then we do have the physical building so that when the animal is ready for adoption, it comes and it stays at the physical building. We're able to work with some other shelters in the state. We work with some of the open intake shelters like Newark, like Bergen County. We work with the Patterson shelter, and so we are able to support them and help them with some of their maybe harder to place animals, maybe when they've got just really high volumes, and if we're able to help them, we do, and then conversely, if we need help, we can reach out back to them. So it's a really great system that way.
Yeah, it sounds really great. So these strays, let's go through the process of getting these animals into your shelters. What is the process like to put a cat or dog up for adoption? Where do you find, how do you get these dogs into your shelters?
Well, at 11th hour, almost, I would say between 90 and 95% of the dogs and cats that we receive or intake come from the southwestern parts of the United States. We're actually doing a little bit more in New Jersey than we had in the past, but for the most part, they come from these, and I hate to use the term, but it is the term that everybody uses, is a kill shelter. Mm-hmm. And these are shelters, they're municipal shelters that are in Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, West Virginia. What happens is we have a lot of people that we've made relationships with over the past 15 years or so. These people know when the dog's time is up, if you will. So what they'll do is they'll set up a platform of fosters in that area, short term, just so that they can get them out of that situation. It could be a litter of puppies and the mother. They don't distinguish which ones go. It's based on time most of the time. And so these fosters will take them out of these shelters, and then we will transport them from Tennessee to wherever back to our facilities in Randolph. And in Randolph, what we do is we'll know how many are coming. We'll know which one. We'll know their names because they've been at fosters. They will have had some vetting in those areas, meaning that they've had some very basic medical stuff taken care of before they get to us. When they get to us, we actually will know each and every one of them by name before they get there, and we will have a list of fosters that will already know which ones they're taking right off the transport. The transport comes, we have a team of people there. The fosters get their dogs first. We'll have some quick adoptions there because there'll be some puppies that have been cleared medically. And then the rest of them, and it could be 10 to 15 dogs, will actually be vetted there and actually will live with us, meaning they'll live within our facilities over in Randolph. So this goes on 2-3 times a week, every week. We get our dogs from some other places, as you know, from other sites, but for the most part, the transport's carrying back 45 to 50 dogs each time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's quite a process too, and I mean it really works great. We've worked really hard on bringing in and growing our fostering population. So what's nice is that these dogs get off the transport, they're literally going to somebody's home that day. so that they're not going into one of our kennels, they're not going into one of our crates. Not that that's the worst case scenario, because they've just left the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
It's really a very, very rewarding part of the whole process, is to see them come off, get vetted, know that most of them are in really good shape. And because quite frankly, a lot of people think that the dogs that we're getting are sick or disabled or whatever. I mean, it's one of the first questions we always get when we meet our adopters. Well, what happened to him? Why was he here? Well, it's just a matter of circumstances for most of them. Mm-hmm. It's not that they were found in a dumpster and, you know, someone, you know, abused them. It could be just that somebody, a mother had 12 puppies, the person that had the mother in the house can't afford them anymore and bring them to their shelter, and that's kind of how we got them. So, I hope that answers your question. I probably went on a little bit too long.
No,
You know, an
great.
interesting piece there, though, that you talked about is like the mentality in some of the more southern states, where it's just how it is, where there's not a lot of spaying and neutering. So there tends to be a lot of numbers down there, and I've just heard people say, you know, how it is here. You know, in 10 years with people spaying and neutering and really helping to work to control the animal population, that's how it's going to be in some of those states, maybe in 10 years. So one thing that we do at the Montclair Animal Shelter is any animal that goes out, and I think you're very similar, before it's adopted, as much as we can, we work to make sure that animal is spayed or neutered before it goes out. If it can't be spayed or neutered for medical reasons or whatever, we'll do a longer term foster until the animal is in a position where it can be spayed or neutered.
The one thing I would add to that too, and as we sit here and, you know, we talk about the people in the South and, you know, how they care. I mean, that's true. The municipalities there don't treat them like they do up here. I mean, we don't do a lot of euthanization based on time here. But I also want to make sure that I mention that we work with some incredible people there that actually go to these places, find out. I mean, the people that work in a lot of these municipalities don't want to do this either. It's just simply they have no money. This is how they're run. And this is why we've gotten so many people to do our running for us out there. This is why we've been able to find fosters out in that area, because they do care. It's just that, you know, money's tight. They don't think, I mean, there are a lot more dogs that are outside there than they would be here.
Absolutely, same thing with cats.
So there is a slight, the mentality is slightly different, but I want to make sure that, you know, you understand that the people in the South, I mean, there are a lot of people that really do care there as well. It's just the circumstances of the way the municipalities are usually set up there.
Absolutely.
Well, obviously we're not monsters.
No.
Yeah.
No, I want to make sure that
yes,
everybody
they're not
understands that.
monsters.
I mean,
Yeah, it's just the government, and maybe more the thinking of the government and the municipal support, as you've said. Something that, just because I'm more on the cat side, so I'm going to talk cat for a minute, is something that we do in Montclair and a lot of up here in the northern states is the trap, neuter, and return. So there are colonies. There are actually cats that live outside in colonies, and were they not trapped, neutered and spayed, vaccinated and returned, you would just have like more and more and more and more. So that's actually something that the Montclair Shelter does, and several others, is do TNR activities, and it's really helped to control the cat population.
Oh wow. Okay. So you mentioned all these cats and dogs coming into your shelters. Obviously, you need volunteers. What qualities are you looking for when trying to accept potential volunteers to come help out?
Yeah, that's a good question. The thing that we want most of all is for people to stay. So you know, it's not glamorous work. It's hard work. A lot of it involves like cleaning the animals, cleaning their cages, you know, cleaning the dog runs. It's not you know, it's not light, easy work. So we really try and be upfront. We always put safety first, safety of the people, safety of the animals. So sometimes people, oh, I've had cats all my life. Well, you have, but maybe you haven't had shelter cats all your life. These cats are stressed. You know, some of them have been in cages for months. And so it's really just slowing the process down and making sure that people are putting safety first. And so we do a good training. We try and tell people not to overcommit. Don't come every day and try and work for 3 hours, you're going to burn out. You know, so come one shift a week. We try and communicate the success stories, because that's what fuels people, right? When the cat that's been here for 18 months finally gets its perfect home, you know, we want to celebrate that. So that's really the joy in the work. So it's really, again, the same thing as what I was saying about the adoptions. It's managing expectations and managing skills. We do need some people to work the phones. We do need some people to do the post-adoption follow-ups and coaching and counseling. And so really finding where people best fit, you know, with their skill set.
Wow. So, Mark, what do you look for in volunteers? Is it the same as what Jennifer
Very,
said?
very similar. You know, the process with us is, you know, you go to the website, you fill out an application, and then we have a team of people that will look through them, and basically you're looking for is someone that's really committed, someone that's going to spend more than, you know, they're going to go up and right away think they're going to, you know, I'm going to play with the puppies all day long, or I'm going to, you know, do something like that. We're looking for people that are willing to, like you said,
Get
work
dirty.
the telephones, or you know, are willing to, you know, work fundraisers, you know, bake cookies, you know, things that you don't normally associate with, you know, what a rescue would do. The amount of jobs that we have available for people to work at our rescue runs from A to Z. So we're looking for eager, willing people, and clearly we want them, you know, I don't think many are going to volunteer if they don't, but we want them to love the animals. I mean, for us, you know, we won't put up with anybody that's a little rough with an animal or what have you. I mean, these animals are coming from tough places as it is. We want people to care. I think we have over 250 volunteers in our registry at 11th Hour, and you know, we all do lots of different things. And I think if you want to be a part of something that is greater than you, you know, this is what, you know, this is the kind of people we're looking for. We want people to be selfless and work with the animals.
Yeah, we actually have a volunteer to turn over to. So we're going to turn over to 11th Hour Rescue's Tom Delade as he discusses his experiences in caring for the transporting the dogs to their shelters in their temporary homes. So let's turn over to Tom.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy.
Hi, my name is Tom Delade. I'm a volunteer with 11th Hour Rescue. When I volunteer in a couple of different areas. One is I go up to the mall and go into their store and pretty much sign in, take some dogs out for walks, give them love. I may pick them up and introduce them to potential adopters. A lot of adopters will take walks with me. They're very serious on how they adopt out their dogs. They call the references, they call the vets, they really do their homework. One of the other areas where I volunteer, which I absolutely love, is I do the transports for them on Sunday mornings in Montvale. They bring these dogs in from, some of them from other countries. I guess Georgia is somewhat of a hub for these dogs. Dogs come in from Georgia and they need rides from the transport up to the mall where they go to be adopted. And I'll meet the transport usually early on a Sunday morning, and I might take 1 or 2 dogs. The most I've had in my car was 11 in cages, a litter of 6 pups, a litter of 5 pups, and then another dog. And it's just the most amazing thing.
Well, that was really amazing. It's really nice to see these warm and welcoming people come out and volunteer. So moving on, continuing on. So when the animal is transported into your shelters, how long does an animal typically stay before getting the chance to get adopted? Jennifer?
So, you know, that really depends on the animal. Kittens, puppies, what, a couple hours, you know? But, you know, maybe some of the more harder to place special needs dogs that, you know, have had some issues with maybe children. or some of the cats. Unfortunately, everyone does want a kitten. So if you've got a 10 or 12-year-old cat, it's often overlooked. The advantage of our shelter is that we don't have to kill for space. So sometimes it's sad. You think, oh, it's going to live in a shelter for, you know, a year, 18 months, but it's going to live. The animals that are in our shelter, the cats, let's say, they do have individual cages. We also have an open cat room. We have a lot of volunteers who come in and make sure that the cages are maintained, because that's the animal's home. We have volunteers who come in and socialize. We have people who come in and do the adoption counseling on the weekends. So make sure that those older cats aren't getting overlooked, that maybe, you know, there is a right person and a right situation for that. We sometimes do adoption promotions. We just did one actually in December, you know, with a reduced adoption fee for adult cats, just to try and mostly it just gets people in the door. Our adoption fees are very reasonable for a spayed, neutered, microchipped, FIV and feline leukemia screened cat, up to date on its vaccines. Our regular adoption price is $120. If you took your own cat to do all that at a vet, you would be $500 in. So it's really already a very attractive price for a cat or a kitten. But again, just to get people in the door, sometimes those promotions, those adoption events do really help. For our dogs, our adoption price is $160. So it's a little bit higher, but still very reasonable price.
Yeah, obviously still reasonable. How does 11th Hour get people in to go and adopt, Mark?
Well, I will say this: we have events every weekend. In fact, I think the only time we don't have an event is during the Christmas holiday season, and that's only if that falls on a weekend. We have 2 adoption centers, one at the Rockaway Mall here in New Jersey, as well as the Roxbury Mall. It's just a storefront. The Rockaway Mall, we generally have our puppies, where our puppies are kept. They're there Monday through Sunday. We have a team of people that work directly for the store. The Roxbury Mall is a Saturday-Sunday event for us. Every Saturday and Sunday, we'll bring dogs from our kennels in Randolph to Roxbury. From 11 to 5 every Saturday and Sunday, we'll have dogs there. And what we try to make sure that we do there is we bring a different group of dogs each time. To your point, where you want to make sure that every dog has the opportunity to be out there in the public. We have a tremendous walkthrough of people. I think we are the largest volunteer animal shelter in New Jersey, and that's 501c volunteers. So we have an event page on our website that every single weekend. In fact, this weekend we have a Winter Wonderland on Saturday up at Sussex Fairgrounds. We have a Dodge WDHA is having an event for us at a Dodge dealer on this Saturday as well. So we're spread out, you know, throughout from now till the end of the holidays. We'll have more than those 2 events, but those will always go on, and that's kind of how we get our adopters there. Of course, if our adopters see a dog they like on our website, they can give us a call. They can come to our Randolph facility by appointment, and we can do meet and greets and stuff in our facilities in Randolph as well.
Well, that's really informative. What can the viewers at home right now do to help these dogs in need? Is there any events coming up?
We always need everything. As a shelter, there isn't anything that we can't use generally. The best way for the public to help us is to come to our events, as you mentioned, as well as donate dog food, bring paper towels. If you go to our website, there's always a page on what our needs are most. Vet gloves is always a big one. So if anybody works for a hospital or what have you, or has some way to get medical gloves to us, that's one that we run through more than I can say. But there's always a list out there for the public, and it's on our website. It's at ehrdogs.org. and when we're asking for something, you'll know it'll be highlighted on the website.
So ehr.org, that's the...
ehrdogs.org is our website.
Okay, so that's the best place for viewers at home to reach you and to get involved?
The best way is to go through there. We have our volunteer section on that. We have our everything that you need to every person or any group that you need to get a hold of, you can do that through our website.
Okay.
They'll give you the contacts that you need.
That's good. How can people get in contact with the Montclair Animal Shelter?
So the Montclair Animal Shelter, we're actually a township shelter. I was just going to jump on to the how can people help question. So we are a township shelter, so the Township of Montclair meets the basic needs, that would be the food, supplies, the vetting for our animals. Which is not to say that when someone calls and says, what can we bring? We say paper towels, because you need so many paper towels, bleach, because there's just timings when you're running out of stuff like that. So that's really good. If people want to make financial contributions to our animals, as I said, the Township of Montclair provides the basic needs and the medical, vaccines, the spaying and the neutering. Often we'll get in cats, this is different, like we'll get in animals that are actually hurt, that have been hit by cars, cats or dogs. And so the medical bills there, we do want to save the lives, but the medical bills are going to be, in many cases, astronomical. So we have the Friends of the Montclair Township Animal Shelter, which is a 501c3. And so people can make donations to them, which will then support the special needs of our animals. We have 3 cats going to the eye care center, the Animal Eye Care Center of New Jersey in Little Falls. They're all having cryosurgery because of malformations in their eyes. That's like not really something that we can afford on a day-to-day basis. We have dogs, 2 kittens that just had orthosurgery. We have a cat and a dog that just had double luxating patellas, so the kneecaps would pop out. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That's really we're out of time,
Okay.
But I gotta say it was an absolute pleasure having you both on. I learned
Thank
so
you.
much. I know if the viewers at home have too. So thank you for joining me, Mark and Jennifer. For more information about this or any other Carpe, you can write to us at the email address on your screen, carpediem@mail.montclair.edu, or call us at 973-655-5158. For Carpe Diem, I'm Collin Delade, and thank you for watching.